Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Churn Report. I'm glad you're here today for what I know is going to be another really good conversation. I'd like to welcome my guest today, Rich Oliver, and Rich is the Chief Commercial Officer at 9 to 5. Hey, Rich, how are you?
Great, Sid. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Thank
I,
you for having me.
well, I'm glad to have you. If you're watching this on YouTube, you see that the background looks a little bit different for me. I'm actually recording this on the road in a hotel room. And Rich is at his home office. So the background's a little bit different, but we got a jinky set. I've got a jinky little setup here to make sure we can get it all recorded and done. So, Rich, tell me a little, tell the listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do at 9 to 5.
Okay. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer with 9 to 5, and that title is a big title, basically to say I oversee sales, the sales team, and the marketing team. So working collectively with them on distribution strategy, business strategy, working with our independent rep groups, the typical sales leader role, but with marketing behind that. I also interface with the executive team, so our chief operating officer and our chief financial officer I interact with on a daily basis as well.
And how long have you been at 9 to 5, Rich?
Just over a year now. So
Oh, okay.
I had the dubious honor of starting on March 9th of last year. And then that next Friday, they started canceling all the flights. It was a great time to start, but I will tell you, it was a good time to start because I got a lot of chance to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of the trial by fire, if you will.
Yeah, starting a job a week before a worldwide pandemic is probably not the most ideal, is it?
Not what you want to be known for, right?
Not at all. But here we are, over a year later. It appears as though things are starting to loosen up. People are starting to get out more. The mask mandate for those that are vaccinated has been lifted. We've seen some activity of people returning, say they're increasing the date of when or moving the date up of when they're going to bring their people back to work. So that's all really exciting.
Absolutely. And consistency is what I like. And over the last year, the one thing that has been inconsistent is, your sales or has been consistent is the inconsistency of the sales numbers day to day. You
Yeah.
have big projects, you have government orders, but it was kind of a roller coaster there often, but now we're seeing a lot more consistency in our day-to-day business, which has been something we've been looking forward to for quite some time.
That's great. I'm really glad to hear that. I've heard other manufacturers say the same thing. So it's nice to see things moving in an upward trend and consistency, getting more business coming in. Our industry needs that all around, no doubt.
No doubt. And we had a group of independent reps, relatively new to their rep groups from the Southeast, come into our Los Angeles facilities this week, and you miss interacting with one
Yep.
another. In our industry, I know you've said it before in other podcasts, one of the things you love about our industry is the people.
Yeah.
And we not only learned some great things, but we had a great time. It was like we were longtime friends, and you miss having those interactions. So it was a great week all the way around.
Yeah, you're so right. Now, when we're recording this, I'm in the middle of Spring Breakout, which is the product roadshow. I'm providing the content and the media, if you will, for that. 9 to 5's participating in that. And when we did our first stop in Dallas, which is where I live, so I went down and just everybody, you could just see the smiles on people's faces. Like, oh, we get to see real people. I had one lady who I didn't know until that day looked at me. She goes, "Can I hug you?" And I went, "Yes, absolutely. Let's do it."
Please.
Yes, please, because we've missed that. We've missed that connection with people. And I think more so than I even realized when the show started, it was really highlighting that, wow, we've missed people a lot.
It's almost become now second nature to me, and this past week was notable. And the fist bump is the new handshake.
Yeah.
I've heard that said before,
Yeah.
but everybody was fist bumping or elbow bumping, and we did have a few hugs there as the day went on, and of course as dinner
Yeah.
got here, but certainly it's good to see people again and not feel that you're going to catch something from each other, if you will, if you're too close together. So definitely a nice feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive in a little bit about 9 to 5 and what you guys are doing. And I really want to talk about, because let's talk about the role that a small business plays in our industry.
It's interesting, my background over the last 27 plus years in this industry. has been with, I've worked for a major manufacturer, I've worked for obviously a mid-size manufacturer, and I've worked for dealers. And now coming to a smaller player, relatively speaking, in our industry, and the dynamic that goes along with that, and our relevance, if you will. And one of the things you've seen, certainly that we have to be as in the position we are with our dealers and with our reps, is we have to be flexible and we have to be easy to do business with. And what does that easy to do business with? I know you spoke to Paul Hobson about it too. What does easy to do business with mean? And it's not just customer service. It means helping our partners close business, helping us be flexible to their needs, which change all the time. The other thing in our role, I think that's very unique is, whether you're an open line manufacturer or semi-open line, whatever you are in this second tier, you have a lot of different clientele you're servicing. So from a dealer perspective, there's thousands of dealers out there in the US, and each one is unique unto itself. But certainly when you look at a transactional dealer to a contract dealer to a mid-market dealer, we have to be able to adjust and focus on each one's unique needs. So our role has gotten to be even more relevant, I think, in these down times, because at our price point, I think we're a very attractive product in the market. We're certainly not low, but we're certainly not high. We play a nice midpoint, and we're also able to be very flexible, again, with the customer and the dealer to their needs, whether they be financial or shipping or quick ship or fabrics. We can be very versatile. You can make a call and reach our president CEO as quickly as you can reach anybody else in the field. So I think that's an advantage to us, but it's also a necessary thing that has to happen in today's business world, especially on the office furniture side.
Sure. So there was a lot there to unpack, but you talked about flexibility, easy to do business with, giving your partners the tools that they need in order to be successful. But you also said this, and I'll say it a little differently. You're in a crowded space.
No doubt.
And I mean, seating is probably the single most popular line item that manufacturers offer to market. I don't know that you could find a rep or a rep, independent rep for that matter, that doesn't have a seating line somewhere along the way. I'm sure there are some, but most of them will have it. So, what makes you stand out? I mean, what makes 9 to 5 stand out in this crowded space? Because the dealer, when they pull up their, either go into their in-person library, if they still have that, or they go to their virtual library and they start looking for seating, there's lots of stuff that comes up. So what makes 9 to 5 stand out?
It's the question that we get every day. And I've always said this across my many years of managing and managing salespeople, is there's a lot of product that's not worth anything that gets sold every day. And it has nothing to do with the product. It has to do with the representation. And it's one thing we focused heavily on, our rep partners, that we go through an independent rep network, kind of as you alluded to, having a seating line, but working with those representatives and bringing them tools to help facilitate sales, make them more of a tool to their dealer partners, or bringing more credibility to them. We have to continue to do that. We have to add kind of those contract services into kind of our second tier line. And what I mean by that is we have to have tools that allow them to specify us easily, because designers at a dealership are used to using, especially the line, used to using their brands. And now all of a sudden they're being asked to use a brand they may not use all the time. We have to be in CET. You have to be there. You have to have we have an online chair designer where you can render your chair within about 3 minutes and put out a quote.
So I've actually seen that. I've used that tool, and that tool is quite dynamic. I mean, it is slick.
It is, I will tell you, coming from a dealership and specifying a chair, going into one of the specification tools is not necessarily the easiest thing, especially when you're relatively new in the industry, or you're trying to change or bring someone new in and they're starting on their own. That chair designer, for me, and especially for salespeople who want something quick, want to be able to turn a quick quote around. That chair designer allows you to do it and gives the visual the customer needs. I'll put the fabric on you on. Here's the actual attributes you can get, or the features you can specify, and this is what the costs are, and send all that in a real quick email over to a customer. Helps that sales cycle shorten quite a bit.
Sure.
And hopefully makes it a more profitable sale in the meantime. So you're not dragging these things out, allowing people to shop around.
especially when you can see it live in person. Okay, I wanted it blue. Oh, wait a minute. No, I wanted it gray. And I want the seat to be purple. And you can change all of that right there. And literally with a few clicks, that's off to your customer. You've downloaded a picture, a spec page, the whole 9 yards for it. So it is a slick tool, guys. If you have not gone to 9 to 5's website and done their chair configurator, you absolutely have to go check it out and see what it's like. So I want to go back to something, that you said. Some of my most favorite people in our industry are independent reps. I have a great relationship with so many of them. I truly value what they do and how they do it. It's hard to be a eat what you kill 1099 employee, especially over the last, 12 to 15 months. But what do you feel like, Rich, is the real importance of having independent reps in our industry?
They allow manufacturers like 9 to 5 to have a complete sales force, if you will. So we're able to cover all of our customers. I mean, we have, I guess, when you add up all our rep groups and the people that are employed by them, there's over 100 people out there talking about 9 to 5 on a pretty regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is they understand their customers. They're in there selling more than just 9 to 5, and some manufacturers don't like that fact that the attention's being taken away from them. And I actually embrace the fact that other manufacturers that they may carry bring us in and make us more relevant in opportunities. We don't provide case goods per se, but if you wanted to sell case goods, but you needed some seating, then 9 to 5's there to be pulled in. So they bring another aspect to us that we don't have with our we don't offer in our product portfolio.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to recap those. You said three things that I wrote down, which were they give you a completed sales force. You've got 100 feet on the street, which is great. We all need more feet on the street doing things.
Yep.
They know their customer, which in their case is typically the office furniture dealer, and then the interior design community, depending. And then the benefit that you mentioned was cross-selling and cross-selling their portfolio of products to provide a solution to their customer who they know that they get called for a case good opportunity. They need a training room. They say, oh, well, look, at this 9 to 5 training room chair, let's include that because that's all you've got. You're very niche down with your seating, and that's all you've got. No tables, no case goods, nothing else. So it's a nice adjunct for them. And that cross selling, I think, is important. And I do agree with something that you said. Too many manufacturers devalue that cross selling and how powerful that it really can be.
Absolutely. And we're focused obviously on seating. So again, we're not out there talking about case goods. So if the opportunity includes case goods, we probably aren't going to be talked about till after the fact. And so we're brought in, but also the insight that they share with us that they're seeing from the other manufacturers that they represent and other reps that they're talking to. We talked about the chair designer just a minute ago. We get the best feedback and truly do from our sales force saying, hey, could you add this? Could you add that? Could you add GSA pricing in there? And it's ideas that we thought we already had captured, but every month we put out a survey every month to our reps just to give us back feedback on what they're seeing competitively out there in the market, what we can be doing to help them. And it always comes back something on a chair designer or something comes back from another manufacturer that they work with that's been working for them that they share with us. And that sharing, you mentioned it right off the bat, that we as small manufacturers have to share and have to be able to work together because of just the vastness of our markets and the things that you have to know.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of power when you can get like manufacturers with different products to come together and to try to collaborate together. Collaboration, I think, is key to a lot of things happening in the future. And I love seeing, especially small business manufacturers, actually collaborate and have success with it. It's exciting.
Yeah.
So, we talk a little bit about in our industry, we talk a lot about research and kind of the things that are happening with research and why it takes so long to develop a chair or why research takes so long. What is it that you guys at 9 to 5 are doing as it relates to research, and how are you incorporating research in your product development?
That's a great question. And so our parent company, Flokk, which For those that don't know, one of the brands in there that people would recognize is Hog, which we've taken over a piece of the Hog's business in the Capisco chair, which has been around the markets for 30 plus years, very popular, kind of an iconic chair, if you will, that's been around. And the research that's been done to support how the Capisco, its shape and the way that it's put together and the reason it's designed the way they have, really talks about the way that people sit and the flexibility that they need when they sit. So it's sitting in different postures, being able to change the way you're leaning into a chair or how you're utilizing it is the most important thing we get back on that research specifically with that chair. That's why people buy it. Frankly, that's why doctors can prescribe it, because it does.
Time out. Doctors can prescribe that chair.
There are absolutely, for certain back ailments and specific people that are out there, these products can be specified or prescribed to an end user. Absolutely.
I've been in the business a long time. I've never heard that before. So that's actually pretty cool. I like that. Thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely. No. And again, it's something that it gives you I've always looked at, when I look at Steelcase, and I worked them for a long time and really respect the research they put out, Herman Miller, all of them. And that's needed research that all of us have to have. But we look at our very own segment, what works for us. It's that availability, one, of price points that customers want, but two, the style and design they want. And obviously the ergonomic adjustments that we have to have. And again, what Flokk brings to us is a lot of varied products with a lot of different applications. And each application we dig a little bit deeper in and try to incorporate those in each one of our products. And again, the adaptability within that Capisco chair, from the way that you sit and the way that you're supported, it's something we're going through with all of our products now and re-looking at how we apply those type of features and flexibility into our products going forward.
So I wish that I had one of those chairs here with me. Because let
me write that down.
I should have actually grabbed the one from the product show and just rolled it up to my hotel room, because if you're watching on YouTube, you see this. If you're listening, I'm literally sitting on a couch. There's no chair in my hotel room. And I'm sitting on a pillow to sit up high a little bit. And I have a pillow behind my back. So I could really use that chair right about now, Rich.
I bet you're our perfect customer.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you prescribe me a chair real quick?
As long as you have good insurance, absolutely.
That's great. So a lot of people may not know who Flokk is, and it's Flock, right?
No, Flokk.
Oh, Flokk. Thank you.
No,
see, a lot of people may not know who they are. Can you just give us a little bit of highlight of who is Flokk?
Well, Flokk, essentially the name is to say what we are. We're a group or a flock of companies, mainly focused on seating and basically in Europe and focusing on the rest of the world, but we're headquartered in Norway. And again, it's a group of manufacturers that have been put together under the brand Flokk, Hog being one of them that's distributed in the US. Profim would be another brand you may or may not recognize. Okay. And we've been in business for many years, and well-known brand in Europe. Again, a big player in the European market.
Mm-hmm. Well, that actually, I did not know that. Thank you for sharing that. And hopefully our listeners learned a little bit of something new, but that also gives you access to a lot, because a lot of the designs that we see in the US, they actually originate in Europe first.
Absolutely.
And so it gives you access to some of the information about what's happening in Europe so that you guys can incorporate in what you're doing here in North America.
Absolutely. And you'll start to see more of that and a lot of our designs that come out and things that we're taking from Flokk and going to incorporate in our own line. And one of the things that we had the group in this week, and we have a couple of the products that we're looking to launch over the next year or so in the showroom, and people sit in it. And one of the folks sat and said, wow, it kind of sits different. And I remember back to when I was told the difference between a seat in a Buick and a seat in a BMW. When you sit in the BMW, it's kind of that rigid, harder seat, a little more lean seat. And then you get in the Buick and it's that big, soft, cushy seat that you kind of whirl around in. And your grandfather might have had, if anybody has a Buick out there, I'm not saying you're a grandfather, you know the difference you're trying to do. And it's got a much sleeker feel to it. There's a lot of benefits to that feel, and the way that design is certainly more supportive on your back. But yeah, some great design coming out from Europe, and we're incorporating a lot in that, what we're doing.
That's awesome. So We've got to start to wrap up here in just a couple of minutes, but I want to ask you, let's go back to our conversation about independent reps for a minute. What advice would you give to independent reps out there about what they should be considering and or doing this year and moving forward to be of more value to companies like you that embrace an independent rep strategy?
Well, I understand both sides of having a lot of lines, and there's some level of security in having a lot of lines, but I also think it can distort the value you bring. And what I mean by that is you can be an expert on fewer, and probably provide more value than just having a lot and being a generalist, if you will, in those lines. So the more you can become an expert, have a portfolio that fits together, that makes sense. If you're targeting architects and designers, you obviously should have products that represent that. That's kind of given. But the types of dealers that you're pursuing, sometimes people carry lines that are confusing to the dealer. Why are you carrying that? That doesn't make sense with this brand. So be very careful of what you're carrying, so the message that you're sending to your audience is clear. I think too, the research that each one of those manufacturers provide, you should be able to tailor that to be your own, if you will. So taking the various messages you may have from the 5 to 10 lines you have, and really putting that together in one solid message that a dealer or an A&D firm or an end user can utilize and really better their purchasing decision, or the way that they're sitting or applying their offices. There's a lot of value in having multiple lines. It's just, you don't want to make it confusing and distort the message that each manufacturer brings.
So you said watch the number of brands that you actually represent. So limited product offering, not necessarily limited to 2 or 3, but just watch that you don't have too many,
Right.
and be sure that they're aligned with your brand and your market strategy.
100%.
You're an A&D person and you've got high-end textiles and lighting and, some other really cool things that work in A&D, maybe a glass product or whatever. You don't need a Chinese import to fill the gap, right? That's kind of what you're talking about. So make sure that your product offering has a brand in alignment with what your market strategy is. And then I love this one. Use the tools that and the research that your brands are giving you, because most of them are giving you tools and research, and use it as, hey, here's some research, and basically be active in sharing that in order to drive awareness.
Your best manufacturers understand what we just talked about earlier, which is you need to leverage each other. The manufacturer, you shouldn't view that your rep group's other manufacturers are your enemy. They're there to help enhance you and your representative. Again, the representative that stands in front of the dealer or the A&D firm is our link. And if that link breaks, then we don't get the sale.
Yep.
We need to keep that link strong. So leveraging all those things to make sure you're bringing your best foot forward and our best foot forward at the same time, it's imperative to the manufacturer, and quite frankly, to the value of the rep group, and what they bring to each market.
So that's great. And I really appreciate you sharing that. We have a lot of independent reps that listen, and I feel like sometimes we talk too much about just the dealer and not enough about the independent rep, because the independent rep plays a really, really big role in our industry. And they need as much support and love as other people in our industry do. No doubt. Right.
No doubt about that at all. I mean, they're working hard out there.
Yes, they are, for nothing until they sell something, right? Because they have to do all the work before they get paid. So
it's hard to give more motivation than that.
That's so true. So true. So Rich, I'm gonna ask you one last question, which is, we talked about a few minutes ago about crowded space. Why does a dealer want to work with and partner with 9 to 5? Or why would?
The first thing I would say is profitability. It's your sales today. We've been talking about profitability, since I started in the industry, but it really comes down to, what can a manufacturer do to help you earn money? and continue to invest in your business. And as a sales rep, you want to maximize your income, obviously, and the income of the dealership. The first thing is we help them with profitability. And the way we do that is we price very aggressively. We have our products are priced to be able to earn a margin. They don't have to be deeply discounted. We don't want them to be deeply discounted. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we want it to be easy. So when you make a sale with 9 to 5 and there's a problem, and it happens, we want to make sure we respond in a way that you can trust. Hey, they're going to take care of me if it's a real issue. And frankly, if it's their issue, there was it was specified wrong, or we still want to help. We still want to be part of the resolution on that. So that will make you come back to us and trust the brand. And three, though we're smaller in play, we're big. We're going to be around. So when you sell that product in 5 years, your customer needs a new part or something happens, you want us to be there to stand behind the product. So we stand behind it. And we make you look good as a dealer. And one thing is, as a dealer, you're an advisor to your customers, and I'm advising you to buy this product for all those reasons we talked about. But the main one is we know they're going to be around to support you and why we sold you the product in the first place.
All right. I love those. I'm going to recap them. Profitability. You help the dealer be profitable. Easy to do business with a brand you can trust, because you guys can be trusted. So easy and trustworthy. And then longevity, you got strength behind you. You're going to be there. Not everything is perfect in our world of furniture. We know that. We know problems happen, but you're going to be there to stand behind the dealer and behind the product.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's great.
Reputation on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's great. Right. I love it. So Rich, I really appreciate you being here. Come and share your story and your thoughts a little bit about 9 to 5, what you guys are doing. Any glimpses of something new you can tease us about that we might see in October?
I'll hold those off, but I will tell you they'll have a European flair to them. How's that?
Okay, that's good. I've been trying to get some little hints from people about Neocon, so we can expect from 9 to 5 at Neocon a little bit of European flair. So
additional European flair.
Additional,
Absolutely.
Perfect. Perfect. All right, Rich, I appreciate you hanging out with me today, sharing all your insights with us. And I look forward to seeing you in October. Okay.
You got it. Thank you, Sid.
Take care, bud.
You too. Bye.